When the Melbourne Storm are looking this good this early, you know it's time to panic. The Melbourne Storm picking up yet another round one win. I don't know why we keep not believing in them, especially this early in the season. It's a 20-plus year record, for Christ's sake. Craig Bellamy, it's probably not going to be his final year because he does say it every time the earth goes around the sun, but it seems to be the common consensus again. So if it is his final year, then what a way to keep the round one record intact. The Melbourne Storm, an 8-0 win over the Penrith Panthers. The Penrith Panthers haven't been held to nil since they played the Melbourne Storm in 2022. And guess who the team before that to held Penrith to 0 was? It was the Melbourne Storm. That defensive masterclass was on a completely new level. And while we can criticise their attack, it is the same with the Penrith Panthers. We're not writing either of these teams off this early because of their attack. That will obviously come, especially in Penrith's case, with their new roster. But that defensive resilience from the Melbourne Storm will go down as one of their best wins, potentially of the last few years. And looking at the way this Melbourne Storm team playing, and we're going to be speaking mostly about the defense, this is probably the best Melbourne Storm team we have seen for a few years. Ryan Papenhuyzen was great. Xavier Coates had some absolutely terrific players. Same with Nick Meaney, who played his first defensive game at centre since he left the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, and defensively I can't believe how good he was. Jerome Hughes was fantastic. Even their forward pack, I know they still had incredible stats. That was the quietest they've looked for a while, and we'll critique the Penrith Panthers in a little bit, but the Melbourne Storm, that was a purely defensive masterclass. Absolutely unbelievable. I mean, some of those boys were even dying towards the end of the game, but somehow, some way, they kept turning Penrith away. And when you keep a team to 0, look, talk about that potential try. When you keep a team to 0, it's no fluke. I mean, even Melbourne Storm, they kicked a penalty goal. So there's a bunch of ways to score in modern NRL. So to hold a team, especially the back-to-back defending premiers, to 0 is so bloody impressive, and that is absolutely terrifying for the rest of the competition, because for some reason, I was guilty of it too, every single year since 2020, we've been waiting for them to fall off, and not dramatically, but sort of step down from being that premiership powerhouse. It happened last year, and despite all of the injuries, and despite, let's face it, a pretty weakened forward pack, they still managed to get all the way to the prelim final, and this year it was the same feeling again. But the Melbourne Storm is still on that level. They're still up there with Penrith, with Brisbane, and they proved it tonight. Their attack has still got a long way to go, no doubt about it, but they were missing probably the best 5'8" in the competition. So if you're bringing that guy in who is a revolutionary generational talent, I think they'll just manage to just find to score some rugby league points. But the Melbourne Storm, absolutely brilliant. There's nothing else to say other than this is the best Melbourne Storm team we have seen for a few years. They get the job done. The Penrith Panthers, there's a lot to be critical of in round one, but that was the same case last year when they didn't score many points against the Brisbane Broncos and got done. Penrith's start to last year, a lot of people forget, it was actually pretty slow. I mean, they lost to the Wooden Spooners in Bathurst. So if they do that and go on to win the comp, I'm pretty sure we can forgive a round one loss to what was just truly a once-in-a-generational defensive effort. The biggest compliment I can give Melbourne is that it wasn't a case of they were just hanging on and you felt like Penrith were going to score at some point, and maybe people did feel that way, but Penrith just never looked in rhythm. They looked like they were panicking, and there's been one criticism around Penrith for the last few years that we thought you could just chuck in the bin after that grand final, was that when scoreboard pressure was put on them, they weren't as good, and that sort of felt like the case tonight. In saying that though, this is what we saw last year. They're going to bring Mitch Kenny back, who I think was severely missed tonight. Sonu Luke, unfortunately, just seems to not be connecting with these Penrith guys, so I think maybe Penrith will look to move him on, because unfortunately I do see glimpses of him being a great player, but I just don't think he fits in with this Penrith Panthers spine. It was just such an impressive performance by Melbourne, especially their forward pack. So congratulations to the Melbourne Storm, an 8-0 win over the Penrith Panthers. Penrith, don't you worry about them, alright, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, they lost to the bloody Tigers last year, so I think we can just calm down just a little bit. But the Melbourne Storm, terrific. Congratulations to everyone a part of that organisation tonight. It's only round one. But if you don't think this is the best the Melbourne Storm are going to be for a few years, then you are just a little bit silly. But if you think I'm silly, let me know in that comment section down below, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Smash that like button, and I'll see yous in the next one.